In Russia, the Redut-UR air defense system has been developed to protect oil refineries and other facilities at the last line of defense. It has fundamental differences from other defense systems, the main one being the low cost of interception. How this was achieved, along with the week's other technological innovations and a story about a hero, we will tell you in today's episode after a brief summary of positive news. Continue. The prototype of the new Yak-130M combat trainer aircraft made its first flight. At the Amur shipbuilding plant, the small missile ship Storm of Project 22800 was launched. In Crimea, at the Amur shipbuilding plant, the lead catamaran Sirius Vector of the Kotlin project was launched. At the Zelenodolsk plant, named after Gorky, the tugboat Kuloy was launched. Yandex's unmanned trucks have traveled the route from Moscow to St. Petersburg, covering a distance of 700 kilometers for the first time. A new plant for assembling and testing compressor units for large-scale liquefied natural gas production has been launched in Zelenodolsk. In the Moscow region, components for climate control systems of rolling stock are being produced. In the Voronezh region, there is a large greenhouse complex. In the Chelyabinsk region, there is a robotic dairy farm. Russian school children won 4 gold and 2 silver medals at the second Open International Geography Olympiad. The Kalashnikov concern has presented the Redut-UR close-range anti-drone system for the first time. It is capable of destroying UAVs at a distance of up to 800 meters with a salvo of unguided rockets. In other words, it serves as the last line of defense for important facilities, whether they are oil refineries, military enterprises, or bases. The system is stationary, but it can also be installed on a truck or ship. The latter is especially important because it allows the defense line to be extended into the open sea and provides better protection for ports and other coastal infrastructure from drones attacking from the water. But the most important thing is the interception principle, which prioritizes not high accuracy, but the creation of a continuous destruction zone using inexpensive missiles. This brings to mind the Mosir active protection system, which we talked about recently. This kind covers ground-based intercontinental ballistic missile silos and fires a cloud of 40,000 metal darts and balls up to a height of 6 kilometers to intercept the attacking object. The operating principle of Redut-UR is similar, but instead of firing shrapnel, it launches a salvo of unguided rockets, which in turn detonate in close proximity to the enemy drone, creating a curtain of fragments. The system's platform includes 2 launchers. There are 49 cells in each, so the total salvo is 98 rockets. These are 60mm high-precision unguided rockets with either a high explosive fragmentation warhead or a directional warhead. Their main feature is their low production costs compared to expensive guided missiles. And that's why this is a decisive advantage today. Any war is first and foremost mathematics. In a situation where the enemy is able to attack daily with hundreds of drones over long distances, the winner is the one whose air defense systems are not only effective, but also inexpensive. The Americans quickly exhausted their stockpiles of high-precision guided missiles in the war against Iran and were forced to make concessions to them. Now all countries around the world are frantically searching for new cheap solutions. Russia has presented its own, simple and reliable, like a Kalashnikov rifle. See for yourself. A modern guided missile, even the cheapest one, costs tens of thousands of dollars. More advanced ones cost hundreds of thousands or even millions. These contain a seeker head, a microcomputer with a thermal imager, gyroscopes, a cooling system, and also complex control mechanics. And the problem is not only that it's prohibitively expensive to intercept a super cheap drone, it's also that producing such a missile takes a long time and is complicated. And the supply chains for components are scattered all over the world and risk being cut off at the worst possible moment. One might think that the cheapest alternative would be anti-aircraft guns. For example, like the Russian Tu-A38M on the Tunguska or the Western M61 Vulcan. But producing them is also costly and complex. The gun barrel is a highly precise, essentially custom-made engineering product made from special alloys, which allows the shells to fly not off to the sides, but directly to the target with the highest accuracy. The shot itself is also neither cheap nor simple to manufacture and requires highly qualified personnel. Unlike everything mentioned above, an unguided rocket on the Redut-UR is a simple and inexpensive solution. To launch it, you don't need a barrel, just an ordinary tube that can be stamped out on the simplest equipment, like a tin can. The projectile itself doesn't have any complex electronics. Its only task is to fly along a set trajectory and detonate at the right moment. In other words, it's a mass-produced item that can quickly be fielded in large numbers for defense. But of course, there are some nuances. The price for simplicity is low accuracy. The rocket is called unguided because it can't steer or change its trajectory in flight. But this is compensated by having as many as 98 units in a single salvo. They create a continuous field of destruction that a drone can't fly through intact. However, even in this case, the system operator needs to know exactly where and when to fire, and that's the key question surrounding Redut-UR. According to published data, its electro-optical modules continuously scan the upper hemisphere in both the visible and thermal ranges. The system detects, identifies, and tracks targets measuring 50 by 50 centimeters. And the targeting system automatically calculates its trajectory and lead, determining the interception point within a few seconds. The launcher is aimed at the sector and fires a salvo, creating a dense fragmentation kinetic field. That is, the system can operate in either automatic or semi-automatic mode. However, despite all the advantages mentioned, let us remind you once again that there is and cannot be a single universal weapon against air attacks. Only the entire system works as a whole: detection, electronic jamming, interception at different levels, and by various means. All of this exists in Russia, but it is precisely the so-called last-mile problem that remains the most pressing issue both for us and for the enemy. Redut-UR is designed specifically to solve this problem and to destroy those individual targets that manage to break through the previous lines of defense. We will probably find out its real effectiveness soon, because according to sources, the system has already been tested in combat conditions and has performed well. We will keep an eye on how things develop. Next, a bit more interesting news. Russian specialists from the Center for Integrated Unmanned Solutions have created a micro-helicopter. Basically, it's a flying ATV that allows you to cross minefields and water obstacles. Among the advantages of the development are quick assembly on site in just half an hour, ease of control, a coaxial design that provides high maneuverability, and a training simulator for soldiers. At this time, the Center for Autonomous Robotic Systems completed tests on open water of another unusual all-terrain vehicle. Models of the first Russian unmanned amphibious vehicle, Meridian. All calculated parameters have been confirmed, and now it's possible to move on to creating a full-scale prototype. Such a vehicle will be able to carry up to 700 kg of cargo, take off, and land both on runways and on the ground, water, or ice. The company Unmanned Systems tested the data transmission system installed on its SuperCam S350 drones. Thanks to it, the drones become signal relays, which allows for secure information transmission over distances of up to 20 kilometers between users. This can be voice, text, or video information, as well as an internet signal in places where it is otherwise unavailable. The developers emphasize the increased resistance of the equipment to electronic warfare and information interception, which makes it possible to use it for combat missions. We wish all the developers mentioned great success in the widespread implementation of their innovations. Next is a preview and the hero's story. The Americans are preparing for the first wave of force reductions in Europe. According to preliminary data, the number of F-15 fighter jets deployed there will be reduced by a third. The number of MQ-4 and MQ-9 Reaper drones will be halved. The reductions will also affect tanker aircraft and maritime patrol planes. There will be only one strategic bomber left, as well as just one aircraft carrier, and the number of destroyers will be reduced from 17 to 9. The only submarine, with cruise missiles, will be withdrawn from the fleet. And apparently this is not the end of it, but only the beginning. Essentially, we are seeing the U.S. withdrawing to prepared positions and making a major gesture of goodwill toward Russia. Not out of love for us, but out of necessity. Economic necessity. Maintaining all this grandeur has become too expensive. Military necessity. After the Iranian adventure, every missile counts. And strategic necessity. The risk of getting drawn into a nuclear war with Russia for the sake of defending, say, Lithuania, has become unacceptably high. Well, we can only congratulate each other on this. After all, this is exactly what the Soviet Union tried and failed to achieve. This is what Russia has sought since Vladimir Putin's Munich speech. The special military operation is about Ukraine, but it's only part of a broader global political operation. Its goals are the demilitarization, de-Atlanticization, and decentralization of Europe. One of them has already been achieved. I'm explaining everything in detail, based on facts and research, in the latest special episode at sponsor.ru Super. Next, over to the hero. In the Voronezh region, District Police Officer Kirill Akimov went for an evening walk with his wife to the river after his shift. Suddenly, they heard cries for help and saw that a young man was drowning 40 meters from the shore. The police officer rushed into the water and swam to help. By the time he reached him, the young man was already exhausted and barely staying afloat. Kirill grabbed him by the t-shirt and pulled him toward the shore, but soon his own strength ran out as well. Meanwhile, on the shore, a crowd of onlookers had already gathered, but no one thought to help. Only after the district officer's wife shouted did one of the passers-by snap out of it and swim toward them. He helped pull the young man out and helped Kirill get out. Soon, the medics arrived and hospitalized the victim with hypothermia. Later, it became known that the rescued student, named Andre, had decided to swim across the river that evening but misjudged his strength. He now thanks everyone involved in the rescue operation. He promises not to do anything foolish again. Captain Kirill Akimov has been serving in the Internal Affairs Agency since 2010. He has had to detain criminals more than once, but this was the first time he had to save a drowning person. We thank you for your heroic deed and wish you success.
That means it's your turn. It's Russia's time. Time for achievements. Time to move forward. This is the time. Our time. We've waited for it for so long. Our time. It's here. Take action. Push forward. It's here. It's here. You are fear and doubt.